Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, we are going to be talking about the fact that your PMDD partner may be about to break up with you, and you may not even know it. So I really wanted to talk about this because I have been really counseling a lot of partners that are saying that these breakups are coming out of nowhere. You know, I didn't know that my partner was really going to break up. I didn't know that they were really going to leave me. And it really brought me back to my PMDD breakups, like with an S. And I have this process that I go through, and then I've seen a lot of my private clients go through before they actually pull the plug and break up with their PMDD partners. And it is not a situation where you're caught off guard in a sense. Like basically, you may be mentioning breaking up with your PMDD partner all month long. Every single time you have an argument, every single time you have a disagreement, every single time they go into PMDD, every time you go into PMDD, you're saying, well, maybe we should just break up. You keep saying it as a solution to your problems. You keep saying it as a solution to your issues. You're saying just break up and then we won't have to deal with this stress. We won't have to deal with any of this. And what I want you to really be careful of is, mentioning it so much that you become desensitized to it. And what that means is it's no big deal to mention breaking up. It's like, oh yeah, this is what we talk about every month, but we don't really do it, right? I've had so many past PMDD partners that have said, I didn't think you were really going to break up with me. I didn't think we were really going to be over. I didn't think this was really going to end. And I remember being so shocked and thinking to myself, what we talked about this every single month. Like we talked about breaking up every single month. You mentioned it, I mentioned it. So why is it such a surprise that when one person actually takes action on the thing that they keep talking about, you're now saying that you're caught off guard, or you really weren't expecting this, as if those conversations hadn't happened. And I understood it because I had been there so long, but I feel like a lot of private clients and a lot of you out there need to really understand the severity of when your partner says things to you like, we should just break up, we should just end this. Especially if it's the partner that doesn't have PMDD, they could be really serious. And I'm going to give you some signs of what that looks like. But I don't want you to feel like you are listening to your partner crying out for help and saying, we need to change something, we need to do something differently, and you're not taking them serious until it's too late. And I know a lot of private clients come to me once it is too late. I am very well aware that as being a PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, that a lot of you come to me in a panic. A lot of you come to me and say, Dr. Rose, I need a session with you ASAP. I need a session with you immediately. I need a session with you right now. And it is because the thing that your partner has been threatening to do, or that you have been threatening to do, is now happening. And instead of stopping it when the first instance comes up and really saying, okay, if my partner is talking about breaking up, we need to do something differently. We need to get some help. You're ignoring that. You're ignoring the signs that are happening within your PMDD relationship from the beginning. And I want you to recognize, if I go over these signs today and I'm telling you, these are the signs of someone who is about to break up with you, I want you to take it seriously, because this is based off of my research of how partners have come to me. And again, the partners are included of who has PMDD and who does not have PMDD. This is the state that they've come to me in their PMDD relationship. And a lot of times we want to believe that we can continue on this pattern of saying that we're going to break up every single month and, kind of coming out of it. And then we didn't break up that month. I know with me and my ex-PMDD partners, we would feel this sense of relief, like, oh, we made it another month. Like, good thing we didn't actually break up. And it would kind of be like this high five, this kind of, we did it. We made it through another month without recognizing the trauma of mentioning breaking up. Because when you really think about breaking up with your partner, like if we really just go to the core of this, what does that mean? I know for me, so many times it has meant moving. It has meant starting over. I will never forget when my ex-PMDD partner, one of my ex-PMDD partners, so again, when I'm giving you examples, I'm now giving you examples on multiple exes that I've had and these breakups that I've had. And I have this lived experience with having PMDD and having these breakups. But I remember one of them telling me, after I broke up with them, and I remember them saying, like, I can't believe that we've actually broken up. I can't believe we've gotten to the point where all of that work that we did, all of those things that we did, all of those memories that we had, all of those things that we planned are really just over. I can't believe that you really want to start over and start a life with someone else. And I remember someone saying that to me, an ex. And I remember thinking to myself in this particular relationship, like, wow, that sounds amazing, because everything in that relationship was so traumatic, was so all over the place, that when they mentioned, so do you really want to break up with me and start a life with someone else? And I was like, in my mind, I was like, yes, I absolutely do, because I've given everything that I have to give. I have nothing left. In every single breakup that I have had with a past partner, I have emptied myself out. I have emptied the jar. I have given everything else that I had to give. And I never would break up until I got to that point. And I know a lot of individuals that break up before that, like a couple of red flags and they're out. Like that's what I call the monthly PMDD breakups, meaning, every single month, where if your partner triggers you, you're like, I can't deal with this, I'm out. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the big breakup with your PMDD partner where you're not getting back together. Like, this is what I want to warn you of. You may be thinking like, oh, this is just going to be another PMDD monthly breakup. Oh, we're just going to say that we're going to break up and then we're going to make it through and everything's going to be great, because you created this pattern within your relationship where that becomes the norm. You say you want to break up, your partner says they want to break up, you get through it and you don't break up, and then you go into the next month and you start the cycle all over again, right? You start the cycle of saying that you want to break up, but you never really do. And I'm talking about the type of breakup where you say you're going to break up, you break up, and you're moving your things. You're moving your items out of your house. You're moving, you're, oh my gosh, there's so much that's involved with breaking up. And I just think no one really thinks about that. No one really thinks about, when I'm saying that I want to break up with my PMDD partner, what that looks like. And if you're my private client, I always ask you this question: you want to break up with your partner? What does that look like? Are you moving things out of your house? Are you splitting finances? Are you separating the children? Are you separating the animals, the dogs, the cats, the birds, whatever you have? Like, what does that look like for you? Because when you really physiologically think about, in your body, in your brain, psychologically think about, I want to break up with my partner, what does that look like when I break up? I don't think that you're really understanding what that really means when you're just randomly saying it because you're frustrated and you're stressed and you're overwhelmed because of things that are going on in your PMDD relationship. You can be stressed, you can be overwhelmed, and all of these things. But when we're talking about breaking up, when someone is ready to break up, they take actions to do so in a way that is really going to impact your entire lifestyle. It's going to impact you on a day-to-day basis. When you're splitting up children, you're creating that trauma for them. And I know that what is it, like 83% of individuals who have PMDD have experienced childhood trauma. And I have private clients that are children in their teens that are dealing with the impact of decisions that the partners have made to just end the relationship, and they're having to rebuild. They're having to go to different schools. They're having to start different lives, make different friends, all because you're deciding to break up with your PMDD partner because you can't handle it anymore. You can't deal with it anymore. And what I want to tell you is, before you get to that point, what are you doing to stop that from happening? What help are you getting? Or are you just riding it out and thinking that the next month is going to be different? Why would the next month be any different from this month? You're not doing anything differently. Why would anything change if you're not changing anything within your PMDD relationship? Because a lot of times when I have the private clients, I'll ask you, what have you done? What have you done to help yourself? What have you done when you felt like you're in this moment where your partner was about to break up with you? What did you do? Did you not really take them seriously? Because if you didn't take them seriously, if you really just thought maybe they're bluffing, maybe they don't mean it, but what if they are serious? Like, what does that look like? Are you willing to risk your PMDD relationship because you don't take your partner seriously, because they're going to actually break up with you? And then are you going to get upset with them when they actually pull the plug and break up, when they've been warning you? And I'm going to give you the warning signs today, but I want you to take your partner seriously when they're saying that they're going to break up with you, because a lot of times by the time you're trying to repair your relationship, it's too late, because you never took all of the signs seriously. You really thought they were just going to stay in this relationship, forever, with these ups and downs. And the thing about it is, you're miserable. A lot of times when you're going through this, you yourself are miserable, but you're expecting them to stay in this place of being miserable with you. You're not happy, but you're saying, oh, because I'm in PMDD, like, they should just stay with me. They know that I have PMDD, or the partner that doesn't have PMDD. Oh, I've been with them for so long. If they were going to leave, it's sometimes in their mind that you think that if they were going to leave, they would have done it by now. If they were going to leave, they would have done it by now. So you're creating this mode of being so desensitized to them saying that they're going to break up, that you're not even willing to take any action, because you're like, okay, we're going to break up again. Like, I know what this is like. We're going through this same cycle all over again. And it's like, no. They could actually be serious. And then what? How do you repair something when people start going no contact? Because here's the thing, one of the things that I do when I really made the decision to break up with a PMDD partner is, I know for me, when I am so connected to my PMDD partners, like I have been in the past, that I can't listen to them telling me the same story again and again and again about how much they love me, how much they care about me, but yet they're not really willing to do anything about it to address our issues, like, because that'll just pull me back in. But when someone is ready to break up, when they're really like, you know what, they've been contemplating it for a while and they're saying, you know what, I'm really going to break up, they're not listening to the same story again and again and again. And I think that's what's so hard for the partners that are on the other end of it, is because they're not talking to me, they're not listening to me, they're not willing to work on this. It's because they've heard the same thing again and again and again, and they know that there's going to be no difference. As nice as a person is, you reach a limit. You reach a limit within your PMDD relationship where you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to beg you. And I remember being here so many times where it's like, I'm not going to beg you to get help for our PMDD relationship. I have given you all the reasons why we need to get help. I've told you we need to go to have counseling. I've told you we need to work on ourselves. I told you we need to talk and spend quality time. I've told you that these are my triggers, and you push them off, you brush them off, you ignored them, you minimized them. You made me feel like I needed to sit in a corner with my trauma because you weren't willing to do anything about it when you were actually creating additional trauma. and making me feel like I'm the problem. At the end of the day, I remember thinking about this during one of my breakups, being like, you know what? I will be the problem. And this is how you know you're done. This is how you know you're done and you're about to break up with your PMDD partner, or your PMDD partner is about to break up with you, because they can say all of the nasty things about you. They can say all of these things about you about, oh, you should just stay and work on this and you should do, they can say all those things. And you're just like, I will be the bad guy. I remember literally feeling like that and thinking that. Whereas before, I would say, no, I want to make sure that they understand that I'm willing to work on this. I want to make sure of this. I want to make sure that they feel supported. I want to make sure that they feel like I'm trying. But then when you're told, that you're not good enough, when you're told that you're the problem, at some point you say, you know what? Okay, I'll be the problem. And this could be the partner that has PMDD or doesn't have PMDD. They can say, I'm willing to be the problem. And this problem is going to leave this relationship, because it's almost like they're challenging you. They're saying, you're the problem, so that you can do things differently. And it's like, I don't have anything else to do differently. I remember feeling like that. I don't have any more tricks up my sleeve. I am not going to beg you to get help with something that I know that we need help with, but you're just not willing. In order for a PMDD relationship to work, you both have to be willing. And a lot of times you're both not willing, and there's one person carrying the weight of that. And it's the expectation of the other partner that you continuously carry the weight of that. They're not willing to take half of the load or some of the load off of you and saying, I'm taking accountability for what I did. You know what? Like, let's work this out. No. They're saying, yeah, you're the problem. Continue to take on the load. I don't have an issue. You have an issue. And so I remember being told that, like, I don't have an issue in this relationship. You have an issue. You're the reason why we keep arguing and having these conversations about the relationship. And I said, okay. So if I have the issue, then I will go and deal with my issue. Because now you're making it seem like my issues in the relationships are not yours, and that's in a partnership. If I'm going through something and you don't feel connected, and you're putting it all on me, like I'm the only problem, like you have no, accountability, no participation in any of the issues that we're having, if that's what you're choosing to live with, then fine. Because a lot of times when people are saying that, they're feeling like you're so much the problem that if they got with someone else, they'll just get with someone that doesn't have PMDD and they won't have any issues. Well, the thing about it is, and I really recognize this with a lot of my exes, if you could be with someone, because all of my exes, I have been the first person that they've been in a relationship with that's had PMDD. And so I automatically became the problem. It's like, oh, you're the problem because you have PMDD. And I always think to myself, okay, so if I'm the problem because I have PMDD and you've been in 75 billion relationships before me, why didn't that work? Why didn't your other relationships work? How did you even get to know me? How did you get to be with me? If you're so perfect and there's nothing wrong with you, and every other relationship you had has been, the other person's fault. Here's the thing with some people, PMDD is used as the scapegoat. Oh, PMDD is the issue. And guess what? When they get with someone else, it'll be something else that's the issue. They could get with someone that has OCD, ADHD, past trauma about relationships, sexual trauma. Here's the thing that I think partners need to understand, and this is partners meaning those who have PMDD and those who don't. Everybody comes with baggage. Everybody comes with a history. Everybody comes with something. So if you want to pinpoint PMDD as the problem, that's fine. And you can break up with me and get with someone else, and it'll be something else. It will be something else. So if you're not willing to take accountability and responsibility, you're keeping yourself in the cycle. Because if you're not willing to work on the issues that PMDD is causing your relationship, how could you be with someone else and work on the issues that maybe, sexual trauma, maybe they got, trigger warning, but maybe they got raped before. And now you have issues with intimacy within your relationship because they've experienced sexual trauma. Are you going to blame the sexual trauma? Or maybe they have, childhood trauma where they got verbally abused, or maybe they've been in another relationship. I've been in relationships with individuals that have been cheated on. So now you're going to get with someone that's been cheated on and tell them that, oh, it's their problem. Whenever you're consistently blaming your partner for what's going on and not willing to take accountability, you're going to find yourself in a cycle, because it's always going to be the other person, and it's always going to be their fault, and it's always going to be things that they're doing and things that you feel like you don't want to deal with. But here's the thing, a fresh start, when you're starting over, you may not see all of the things that are going on with that person. And you may be losing out on a lot of things that this specific person has that the other person won't. But you're willing to take that gamble, and that's fine. But what I want to talk to you today about the signs. So I'm going to give you 10 signs that your PMDD partner is about to break up with you. Again, when I am saying PMDD partner, I am meaning the partner that has PMDD or that doesn't have PMDD. You are a PMDD partner if you are in a relationship where PMDD exists, okay? So a lot of times when I'm mentioning partners, they're thinking I'm talking about the individual that doesn't have PMDD. No, if you suffer with PMDD, if you don't suffer with PMDD, and you're in a relationship where PMDD exists, you are a PMDD partner, okay? So the first sign that your PMDD partner may be about to break up with you is withdrawal. They become emotionally distant with you. They're not really getting into those conversations with you. You know, they're not being physically affectionate. They're not trying to go on date night. They're not trying to really do anything with you, right? And this can happen gradually over a period of time. And there's some excuses that you can make for why there has been this increased withdrawal physically, emotionally, and all of the other things. They may say, oh, they're really busy with work, so now they don't have time to do any of the activities that you used to do together. They may say with the physical affection, oh, they're suffering in PMDD, or oh, they're really tired, so that's why we haven't been intimate. Or, oh, they're not having conversations because they've been so exhausted after a long day of work that we just really don't talk anymore. At the end of every one of my PMDD breakups, there has been this withdrawal. Things that we used to do before that was the norm, all of a sudden started to fall off. We all of a sudden didn't have time. We all of a sudden didn't have interest. It's like all of these things. But what I want you to know is that it was a part of the breakup. When I broke up with my ex-PMDD partner, the withdrawal looked like less and less conversations, less and less. We used to have this thing called a walk and talk that we used to do, you know, every single week, or I tried to, you know, put it in the calendar for every single week. But then work got busy. When you start to prioritize other things above your PMDD relationship, and those things that connected you start to fall off, you start, you know, moving the chess pieces, and you're putting work above your partner, you're putting time with friends above your partner, you're putting time with other family members above your partner, you're setting yourself up for a PMDD breakup, because now you don't have those day-to-day things that are connecting you. When you're not being physically intimate, when you're not being affectionate, like maybe before you used to get in the car and hold hands, you're not holding hands anymore. You used to get out the car and maybe hold hands on your way into a store, or your partner used to put their arm around you, and now you see yourself walking separately. You see yourself going in opposite directions, and oh, you know, it becomes really strategic. Like, oh, you're going here, okay, I'll meet you there. Like, you're no longer even trying to do things together, and you're not understanding that this withdrawal is happening and you're on the brink of a breakup. When you're not having those day-to-day conversations where you used to have morning conversations where you connected, and evening conversations where you connected, and now it's just like a text message, good morning, babe. And that's it. And I remember looking at my text message thread with my exes, and when the withdrawal happened, it looked like, good morning, how's your day going, good night, for days and days at a time. When you're not connecting with feeling words, so you can have text message conversations, but when you were really connected, they were feeling words. How are you feeling, babe? You know, what's going on? If you're frustrated, oh, you got this. Like, there's this in-depth knowing of what's going on with your partner. If you're in a relationship, you should know how your partner is feeling at all times. And the next way that, you know, you're on the brink of a breakup with your PMDD partner is there is frequent arguments. Are there going to be arguments in any relationship? Absolutely. But I'm talking about frequent, and more frequent than just, you know, one or two, you know, arguments that you have in your luteal phase and PMDD. I'm talking about all month long. You all are arguing in the follicular phase when you're supposed to be in your good days, and you're arguing in menstruation, and you're arguing in ovulation, and you're arguing for sure in PMDD. So now your arguments are becoming more frequent. You're not even getting a break. You're not getting a chance to reconnect with your PMDD partner because you're consistently arguing and fighting about things that are not even big ticket things. You know, they're just, every little thing is irritating you, and you are just arguing over everything. And then you get to this point where you feel like everything I say, I'm walking on eggshells. Everything I say is going to turn into an argument. Eggshells is the key word whenever I have private sessions, that I know that this is like a red flag for me. When one of my private clients, the partner that has PMDD or doesn't, when they start saying, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, I am like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, we need to really get to the bottom of this, because walking on eggshells, that's not sustainable. When you feel like you're walking on eggshells, at some point you're going to get tired and you're going to get off the boat. You're going to be like, you're going to start thinking to yourself, the ego is going to come in. I don't have to deal with this. I can't sustain this. I can't live like this. And so the next way, number 3, the next way that you're on the brink of a breakup with your PMDD partner is a loss of interest. You don't even want to spend time with your partner anymore. This is very horrible to come to terms with, because it sounds horrible to say that you don't want to spend time with your partner. And nobody really wants to be the one to admit this. But I've been at a point where I've had to admit it, and my partner has been at a point where they've had to admit it. Where I was in PMDD one time, and they said, oh, I'm busy with work. I have to do this and this and this. And they were supposed to come visit me, but they didn't come visit me. And then we had a conversation, like an argument later on. And I said, I think it's really, really not fair that you didn't come spend time with me during this time. And they said, you were in PMDD. I didn't want to spend time with you. Like, I was avoiding that. And so I was like, oh my God, like, they were literally admitting it. Granted, it was in the middle of an argument, but they were saying, like, I don't have any interest of being with you while you're in PMDD. Did they say it out of frustration and anger? Yes. Did they mean it? Absolutely. Right. So that's what goes into number 4, which is avoidance. They start avoiding you, making excuses to not spend time with you, and frequently saying, I'm busy with work. I'm busy with this. No one is too busy to spend time with the person that they love and adore. I guarantee you. I am a very, very, very busy person, but when I'm invested in someone, when they're my person, I make time. So I don't buy the excuse, but that's what they're going to say to make themselves feel better about it, and to make you feel better about it. So it's not like a confrontational thing. Things with work have really been picking up. I've really had to do this. I had to do this. They start listing out all of these things that they've been doing since 1995. And when I say 1995, I mean it sarcastically, but you've never not been busy, and you've made time for me. But now all of a sudden you don't have time because of work, or you don't have time because of the kids. You know what I mean? Like, there's all of this push and pull. It's like, why is it so hard now to spend time together? Whereas before, when you really, really were into me, I didn't hear about all those other things because you just made it work. And the next way that you're on the brink of a breakup, it's like I was talking about earlier with the communication. Your communication becomes very superficial and surface level. Good morning, good night, how are the kids, who's doing it's very logistical. You're just talking about the day-to-day things that connect you. How's the dog doing? How's the cat doing? Do we need more eggs? Like, blah blah. You're just talking about things that are not really connecting you and your partner together. You're checking the block. You're saying, oh, I'm saying good morning because I have to say good morning. I'm saying good night because I have to say good night. You don't really want to. But you're doing it because you're not really ready to pull the plug. So you're just like teetering the line. You're just like, I'm gonna stay in this as long as I can, but I don't really I'm not really into it. And that goes into number 6, which is you have dissatisfaction with your relationship, right? And you start pointing it out. You start expressing your dissatisfaction with the relationship. You start saying, how come you don't do this? And how come you don't do that? And how come you're not supportive in this way? And I remember with mine, I talked about it all the time, like the snoring. The snoring that my ex-PMDD partner did was a really big issue with me, because when you're on the brink of a breakup, there's a lot of things that you become more irritable towards your partner. And that goes into number 7, which is this increased level of irritability, right? the things that your partner did previously to trigger you, you're more likely to be irritable towards them because of it. Like it becomes magnified because you're tired of them. Honestly, you are tired of being with them. You don't really want to be with them. You almost feel forced to, you feel obligated to, you feel like you're trying to like look at them and like, well, they're a good person overall. You're making excuses for them, but in reality, if you're really true with yourself, you're irritated. You are very irritable and frustrated with your PMDD relationship and your partner. And then the next way is you have this decrease in physical intimacy, right? Even if you have sex, you're not really connected. And you either are not having sex or when you have sex, it's very check the block. I remember towards the end of my PMDD relationships, there was one where we were getting in the bed and we like we immediately got in the bed. He turned his back towards me. I turned my back towards him and a light bulb went on. And I was like, we're done. Like it's over. And I remember saying it in a sense of this is not that we never used to go to bed like that. Like with this partner, we used to cuddle every night. Like I would turn my back toward, what was it? I would turn my back towards him and then he would like put his arms around me. So it's kind of like spooning. And that's how we slept all night long. Like that's literally, we slept like that. We woke up like that. We couldn't go to sleep without, touching each other or just like being in each other's arms. Like, so when I had that light bulb moment of like, we got in the bed and we immediately went back to back, not even touching each other. And I said, oh my gosh, we're done. And do you know what he said to me? Do you know what he said to me? He turned towards me in bed and he said, we've been done. And I was like, I was so shocked because he was very much aware. And I want you to know your partner can be very much aware that, hey, this is it. Like I'm good. They may be just holding on for whatever reasons. Like maybe you have finances together and it's very convenient. Maybe they're not ready to move out. I know for that ex that I specifically am talking about, um, we did live together and it was financially beneficial for us to do so. So it's kind of like, yeah, we could break up and go get our other places. But I mean, like, why would I spend that extra money? Like we had goals, like we were in those, we were in our early 20s and we are kind of like, I got goals. And so I can like ride this out. We were essentially living like roommates. We started living like roommates and doing everything separate together. And sometimes the reason why you're still in a relationship is because your partner has just decided, you know what, it's what is that saying? It's cheaper to keep her. They're like, listen, I can endure this because I'm getting some kind of benefit in it. Like they're thinking of a benefit outside of you. So this goes into number 9, which is they're discussing a future without you. When that starts to happen, they're 100% one foot out the door. When they're not talking about when they start talking about, I don't know what you're going to do. I remember talking to my ex-PMDD partner and I said, I was mentioning the snoring because again, with the increased, irritability and all of these things. And he said to me, he literally said to me, that's when I was like, what? He said to me, yeah, I could get my snoring fixed, but it's probably not going to be while I'm with you. And I was like, what? I remember thinking to myself, like, when did we start talking about a future with another person? Like, so you're saying that you'll go through the process of getting your snoring fixed, but it's going to be when we're not together. That means they're one foot out the door because they're already thinking about, okay, what would my life be like without this person? What would that look like? And I remember that being so hard for me because the basis of a lot of my PMDD relationships, actually all of them, I thought they were forever things. You don't really go into a relationship with someone, especially getting married, without thinking that it's going to be forever. Like that's not a thing. And you wouldn't waste your time with someone if you're not, even if you're not married, you're not going to waste your time with someone if you're not seeing a future that is forever. And I remember I've started over. And this is why I'm telling you this because I want you, this is education for you so that you don't make the same, I don't want to say mistakes because I honestly don't regret any of my PMDD relationships. I learned something from all of them, but I don't want you to not catch on to the signs of when it happened. I don't want you to be blindsided. I don't want you to be unprepared. I don't want you to be like, I never thought we would get to this point. Like, I don't want you to get there because I know what that feels like. There's been times where I've known that it was the end. And there's been other times where I've been like, man, I really didn't see that coming. Right. But when I look back, these are the 10 signs that I saw, where it's like, if I knew these signs, I would have seen it coming and I would have prepared myself, meaning I would have worked harder on the relationship, or I would have, had that hard conversation and said like, hey, are we actually going to break up? Like, had that hard conversation and say, if we're at the point where we're really going to break up. And this is where I was with a lot of my exes, where I'm like, if we're just going to break up, let's just do it now, because I don't like living in the land of the unknown. I don't like stalling. I don't like procrastinating. I don't like once I realize that you don't want to be with me, and I realize that it's becoming too much for you, or too much for us, or we're not compatible, whatever the situation is, whatever you come to terms with, one thing I will not do is I will not waste your time. If I know that it's ending or it's ended, I will cut it off at the head. And it'll be harder for me because I will be the one to pull the plug. I know that. Even if I know that they're the ones that thought it first, or they were acting like they were going to break up first, somebody has to be courageous enough to go through the breakup and actually say, you know what, we're done. And I know I've been that person because of my core thing is I value freedom. I have a high level of autonomy. I'm an Enneagram 7. I'm a free spirit. I'm not going to force you to be with me as 1 second. If I feel like you don't want to be here, I will let you go. I will 100% let you go. Will it hurt me? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't mean let you go because I'm going through a PMDD episode and I'm just feeling like I can't do this anymore. I'm not talking about a monthly breakup. I'm talking about the big breakup where you're not together ever again. Because I don't backtrack. I don't go back with exes. I just don't. And so I know this about myself. So because I know that I don't go backwards, I try to stall as much as I can with actionable things to prevent me from making that decision. I will talk to you. I will literally tell you, hey, we're in trouble. Like, we need to get help. And if you're not willing to get help, or you're still feeling like I'm the problem, then okay. But I gave you that option. There's no ex PMDD partner that I've had that I haven't given the option at the end. Like, we could save this if we use the tools and we do the work. And if you're on board, then I'm on board. The only reason that I've broken up is because the other person has not been willing to stick with it and actually do the work to change on the issues that we've had. And I can't force them. You cannot force your PMDD partner to get help if they're not in that place to do it. If they're still making excuses, like I told you before, if they're avoiding you, if they're not being physically intimate, if they're kind of being a little bit content with the way that your relationship is and you're not really satisfied, but they're like, hey, it's better than being with no one, or hey, at least I'm saving some money. Well, I'm not living like that. You may choose to live like that, but you're not going to live like that with me. I value myself too much to stay in a situation where you're not willing to get help and you're going to leave us in this miserable place and drag me along for the ride. I love you, but I will love you from a distance because I know that you're not truly happy. In all of these situations, I know with my ex-partners, they weren't truly happy, and I can't say I can't. And it's not like you have to be happy all the time. I'm not creating this persona that if you're in a relationship, you're supposed to be happy all the time. I'm talking about you don't have any more happy moments. You don't even have any more happy glimpses. Everything is a struggle for you. Everything's harder. You're having to force yourself to do certain things. And the last way that you know that you're on a brink of a breakup with your PMDD partner is they're starting to want more space and time away from you. Right? I can't be with you. I can't go with you. This was the biggest one. This is like seals the deal. Because I told you with my ex-PMDD partner last year, we had spent every holiday together, every holiday that you can think of. And when he said to me, oh, I need to go home and spend time with my family, I need to be with my family, and all these things versus being on a vacation with me and my daughter, I was like, you would rather be with your family than be with your wife and child. we're on the brink of a breakup. Like, I tried to make myself be okay with that. I was like, okay, well, you'll spend Christmas and then, for New Year's, we'll spend it together. Every day of that vacation, I was in Mexico. Was I in Puerto Vallarta? Yeah, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Every day, I said, I think I was on day 3. I only lasted 3 days in the vacation. And I said to myself, I can't do this. We are absolutely done. I know how much people value traditions, people value holidays, people value all these things. And so when you are making vacation plans away from your partner and putting it on the sense of, I just want to spend time with my family. No, you're tired of me. You're tired of me and you're tired of this relationship and you don't see any value in it. Because I don't care what your family or friends or anybody has to offer you. Nothing should come above your wife and child. It's not a thing. Even if we're going through a really hard patch and we're going through something, like, we still need to be together. But staying apart, seeking space is not helping, it's hurting. But when that is the preference of the partner, they're on the brink of a breakup. And we broke up right after that. Like, I remember that was the point of no return. It's like, okay, because what is it? I'm supposed to be, we're going to start spending holidays apart now because of whatever reason? No, it's not a relationship. It's not a thing, right? And the longer you stay in that place of accepting that, once you do, I know this, I've seen this so many times. Once you start accepting this downgraded version of your relationship, it's all downhill from there. Because now you're going to start accepting less and less and less from your partner just for the sake of staying in the relationship. Not because you're genuinely happy, not because you're getting what it is that you need out of the relationship. No. You're going to be accepting less because that's all they're willing to give you. And you're like, well, I don't want to break up, so I guess I have to accept this. That's when you know that you're on a brink of a breakup. So if you know that you identified with a lot of these issues that you're having within your PMDD relationship, I want there to be some sense of urgency. I want you to recognize this and say, Dr. Rose, I actually do have a lot of these things going on. I don't want to lose my partner. I want to get help. So you can go to my website, inlovewithpmdd.com. You can get those private sessions. I always say that's the first step. I know a lot of you DM me. TikTok is blowing up. I just started TikTok. I think it was earlier this year, but I love everyone that I've met and connected with on TikTok. It's amazing. So normally I say go to my Instagram, and you can always do that because I'm still on there. But TikTok, my TikTok family has been amazing. My YouTube family has been amazing. But if you identified with these areas, you need to get help with your relationship. So then you always ask me, what is the first step? What's the first thing that I do? And I always say the first thing you need to do is book a private session. I need to assess you and I need to assess your PMDD relationship. Do both partners need to be there? Absolutely not. Would it be great if you were? Absolutely. But I can talk to one partner and be able to get you on a plan to rebuilding your PMDD relationship, healing a lot of that trauma, getting you past these behaviors that make you on a brink of a breakup, because there needs to be some sense of urgency. You need to be listening to this. And if any of this resonated with you, you need to be like, this is your sign to get help. Because the longer you stay in this area, I don't want you to get so far gone to where your partner completely gets checked out. Because once they're checked out, it's hard for them to get back checked in. Once they've completely detached from you emotionally, you're going to start to see their behavior patterns, change with you. Because when your partner is not emotionally attached to you, they can hurt you and not feel pain. That is one of the things that I think is the scariest part about being on the brink of a breakup is they can cuss at you, they can yell at you, they can do whatever, they can gaslight you, they can stonewall you and all of these things and not even feel bad about it because they're not emotionally connected to you, because they've gotten to that point. But nobody gets to that point overnight. It's a gradual process. So the sooner you stop that process, the sooner you'll get to the point where you're able to get help with your relationship and that you won't be on a brink of a breakup again. We got this. Love you. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.